And so, according to the informational resource that I have been studying all day to make sure that I understand it, white Americans are at the head of most categories in regards to crime. And while black Americans are leading in murder, robbery, which we commit against each other, by the way, but while we are leading in murder, robbery, and weapons violations, white Americans are leading among the following: aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, theft, motor vehicle theft, arson. Now let's take a look at the victimization patterns by race crime statistics in the US 2025. The victim demographics are as follows: white victims, black victims, Hispanic victims, and Asian victims. The next column would be violent victimization rate per 1,000. The violent victimization rate per 1,000 white victims is 16.5, and the most common offender race is of the same race. Moving on. The violent victimization rate per 1,000 for black victims is 22.9, and the most common offender race is the same race. Moving on again. The violent victimization rate per 1,000 Hispanic victims is 15.8, and the most common offender race is of the same race. Followed by Asian victims, whose violent victimization rate per 1,000 Asian people is 8.2, and the most common offender race says various, meaning a multitude of different people. And so, in a nutshell, what that tells us is that people of the same race are committing crimes against each other. And please miss me with the deflection tactics. They don't work. The overall point being, you all wanted to talk about crime and who's committing crime and who's being affected by crime because you're so obsessed with crime. So we're talking about it. And when it boils down to it, white Americans are leading in all categories. And I haven't even touched on the rest of what this says. This has had so much information. And across mostly all of these categories, you are leading in any and every type of crime. In almost all of them, with the exception of some of them, you are leading in all crime. And I don't want to hear about your population proportions, which is just some bullshit that you guys have to cling on to because in your mind, your population being large somehow justifies all the crime you commit. I'm not understanding why that would justify that. In fact, you're not entirely to blame because even the resource that I'm using, I have to read in between the lines about what it's trying to say versus what it's actually saying. Because pointing out that we're 13 to 14% of the population but commit XYZ of XYZ, what is that supposed to mean? Why are you so obsessed with population proportion versus crime ratio? Why is that your obsession? Why is that your focal point? Because when it boils down to it, you commit so much more crime more than anybody else. And that's just it. I don't care about how large your population is. You can have a large population and still not commit a bunch of crime.